Hey guys, tonight I have the 2019 Subaru Forester Sport. I figured I'd start off this week with a night drive on this car and give you some of my first impressions on what this is like to drive and just kind of live with on day one. What are my initial thoughts? The first thing I noticed is I do like the looks. It has these red accents, or it's either kind of hard to tell in this light, red, orange. It's red on the lower sills, orange on the roof rack, and a really nice pearlescent white. This still kind of retains the classic hiking shoe look that the Forester has always had, and I do like these C-shaped taillights. Probably can't see a whole lot at night, but pretty decent amount of trunk space back here. We're going to be doing a daytime review where we'll give you a look around the car with just a little bit more light. But as always, very roomy, very spacious inside. Cool fabric on these seats. Nice bright LED lighting for the interior. It's cold here in Michigan, so there's a lot of ice in between the door sills after I washed this today. Sharp looking car. Nice orange accents in the interior. Colored stitching. Right off the bat, I'm getting good vibes from this Forester. So before we get going, let me just set some expectations on this. This is the Forester Sport, but it's not necessarily a sporty drive. This is a comfortable daily driver, comfortable cruiser. You've got some off-road clearance, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's very off-road capable. I have seen some people hooning these cars, but really, it's not what it's built for. This isn't a lifted STI. So let's get into it. Nice reverse camera. We've got rotating lines. We have pretty good rearward visibility. Not many blind spots back there, and you do have a really nice large sunroof. This 2.5 liter naturally aspirated boxer engine is mated to a CVT, which in typical Subaru fashion kind of simulates shifts throughout the rev range. It's a pretty good CVT. We'll kind of get into it here a little bit, and you can hear it and get an idea for what it feels like. But I do really like the way this car drives. Just my initial impressions are just the high points of this are ride quality. This thing is very comfortable. It's very softly sprung, but it also handles pretty well too. It's really friendly to these potholed, bumpy Michigan roads, and I think that's important in a car these days, just because, well, let's be honest, the roads in the U.S. are pretty awful these days, and you need something that can handle a large pothole if and when it comes up. Lots of tech features in this. So far, I've really only had a chance to test the radar-guided cruise control. It seems to work well enough. The ergonomics in this are okay. We'll get into that a little bit more with the daytime video. One thing I do really like about this Forester is the visibility is fantastic. I have a little bit of a higher driving position. I feel like I'm in a crossover / smaller SUV, which is essentially what this has become. But there's just a fantastic amount of visibility from the front and the side that's kind of rare in cars these days. You don't get a whole lot of these skinny A-pillars, and it makes for a pretty nice driving experience. Hard on the brakes here. Let's see how this thing does around a corner. Really nice grip. Got a little bit of steering feel up here too. Not a lot of body roll, but Subaru did a pretty nice job figuring out the suspension dynamics for this Forester. It's a really good blend that is definitely more geared to comfort, but it makes for good balance. You can hear a faint boxer rumble there. let's get into it a little bit more. Get a decent amount of throttle response with the CVT. This engine is no powerhouse though. It gets the job done, but it's not fast or particularly exciting. You do have paddle shifters, so you can simulate some downshifts. They seem to work pretty well, nice and responsive. But really, who are we fooling? This is still a CVT. Really nice turning radius in this too. I'll show you guys that here. You kind of get the feeling that this car could crawl over objects and obstacles that most vehicles on the road wouldn't be able to handle, short of an SUV or something like that. And I think you have the ground clearance to do it. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'll throw them in the description. One advantage, though, to this Forester is it's only about 3,500 pounds. It's not that heavy. As a result, you get a little bit more of a nimble driving feel and driving character. You still have that high-up driving position, but you have decent fuel economy. And as a result, it feels a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller on the road. It's easy to place. This Forester is a really good size while being very roomy inside. There's a ton of space in the back seats. Up front here, it's very comfortable, very spacious. Okay, so there's really only one more question about the Subaru Forester, and that I have at least. I don't know about you guys, but when I get a car like this, I want to know if I can have a little bit of fun. And I think people who buy Subarus, especially the Forester Sport, would want to know if it can do donuts in the snow. So let's cut to that and let's find out. Okay, so we are in deep snow and mud mode. You have to put it into manual to access this. Traction control button is off, or traction control light is off. And I assume this is going to be just kind of friendly for winter driving conditions. We've got some stability control that's kicking in. It's allowing a little bit of slip, but I can feel lots of braking going on just to get you pointed in the right direction. I'm not feeling a ton of traction from these tires, but I think it's doing the job. We've got a lot of bumps in this parking lot. It seems to handle them pretty well. Okay, so that's mud and snow mode. Let's go back to normal here and see what it does. Just a little bit less slip. It does allow you to have some fun though. Traction control's on, everything's enabled, and I can get a little bit sideways. This is a good traction control system. Let's see what it's like with everything off. So traction control off really lets you have a little bit of fun. You can play a little bit, but there's still a little bit of intervention going on. I can feel the front wheels braking. So you can get this thing sideways, but you're definitely not gonna hoon with abandon like you would in a WRX or an STI. Still pretty capable, pretty fun in the snow. There's ABS. I'm surprised at how much slip traction control on gives you. It's nice that it can just let you have a little bit of fun out there. So power in this isn't blistering, but it's definitely enough. It's much quicker than the Crosstrek, which feels unapologetically slow. So, you know, you're not getting any real push from boost. It's naturally aspirated. You do get a little bit more response because of that. I think the engine sounds nice. So, you know, the power isn't class leading. It's maybe not up there with some of its competitors, but it's definitely ample. And it's not a hindrance, in my opinion. I don't think it detracts from the driving experience. You may be a little bit wanting at high altitude and if you're towing, or if, you know, you're making a major pass. But ultimately, here in Michigan, at what is essentially sea level, in the cold, it's pretty good. Finish up this corner, and I want to talk to you a little bit about cruise control. Really pretty good handling. I'm impressed. So cruise control has taken me a little bit to get used to, but you figure it out after a while. It automatically skips 5-mile-an-hour increments, which is kind of cool. So you can go from 70 to 75 and 75 to 70, and then to get single-mile-an-hour increments, you just hold the cruise control button up or down. So it's pretty intuitive, pretty easy to use. You have your distance, your following distance indicator here down to the right, and your lane departure warning. Now, normally, this car always kind of has a driver awareness lane departure mode on, and I haven't figured out how to turn that off. It's kind of useful because if you're distracted or you're not really paying attention, you tend to veer out of your lane without using your signal. It's gonna give you a little bit of a warning, and it's gonna scold you. It's gonna keep you on your A game, in other words. And I think that's nice in the world of distracted driving, and I appreciate that Subaru's kind of doing their part to mitigate a little bit of that. Otherwise, though, pretty comfortable here on the highway. Again, great ride quality, really nice visibility. You have blind spot monitoring, all the modern safety tech, and it's relatively quiet. Not a ton of wind noise. It's not Lexus silent in here, but it's not terrible. Sound system sounds good too. We'll plug into Apple CarPlay here in the next video and show you guys what it sounds like too. Okay guys, well thanks for watching. That's the new Subaru Forester. A little bit of an extra fun piece for you at the end. I think this is going to be a good car. It's going to sell well for Subaru. They've done a nice job just putting together a good, comfortable package. So I'm a fan. I think for what it is, it does a good job, and it definitely serves its purpose. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, if there's anything you guys would like to see later on this week with this in the more in-depth daytime review. But until then, thanks for watching. We will see you guys in another video sometime, at some point. Lots of satisfying ticks into the oil pan. Cool. Catch you later, guys. Take care.